Welcome everybody to this gifted Zoom. What to say when you don't have the words? Ah, a yeah. For the people that don't know me, I'm Yasodhara, and I want to start with thanking the whole team for being here and for actually working on her Dubai creations. We will be there next week with some creations around like starting to show up in your own life, starting to speak up. Um, but also starting to look at like what could you say that would change like realities, like how many times do we either like how many of you have ever like had the situations where you like prepared yourself like desperately like okay, I'm gonna say this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then when the situation shows up, like either you say like everything that's not bad, or you lose your words completely, and then afterwards you go into all of this like scenarios of like, oh my god, I should totally have said like this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And so like how many of you have been judging yourself like for your voice? Ooh. So shall we start with destroying and uncreating, which is like a really potent access consciousness tool. It's like to destroy and create energies that we've been locking up in our worlds. Like, for example, you have this moment where you're standing in front of somebody that you really care about, and whatever you wanted to say doesn't come out, and then you basically take that energy with you into the next situation, into the next conversation. And some of us like take some of these moments into the next 40 years and we don't even recognize it. And so with using this tool, the clearing statement, you can actually like dissipate and release all of that locked up energy like right to the source, and so something else can show up. And so how it goes is that you ask, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate everything that is? And then you totally have choice to say yes or no. And then we like say the clearing statement after that, which is like right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts boys, povats, and beyonds. If you want to know more about that, please check out declaringstatement.com. If you want to know more about Access, check out accessconsciousness.com. It's an amazing modality full of like incredible tools that are very pragmatic, um, and easy to change. Anything like we often decide cannot be changed. So, what have you been judging about your voice? Ooh. And so everything God brings up, would you be willing to destroy and create that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all natures, boys, poets, and beyonds. And how many of you have had people around you like judging you for never saying the right thing? But what you were actually doing was you were saying or not saying everything that played out in people's universes around you. So, like, how many of you do that all the time? Like, somebody will want to hide something and you'll just say it, and then they'll kind of like get angry at you because you said something they didn't want to talk about. And you're like, oh, so that's where you have the words for something you're not supposed to say. So, everywhere you've been judging you for voicing things people want to hide, would you be willing to destroy and create that? Right and wrong, good and bad, fucking pot, all natures, baseball, poets, and beyonds. And that's where consciousness basically comes in. Let me do this maybe. Yeah. So that's where consciousness comes in. Like you, as a conscious being, you'll be aware of what everybody tries to hide, what everybody is not saying. And if you're not actually acknowledging that, like, will tend to make yourself wrong. Ibtihal. Am I saying your name good or am I butchering it?
Yeah, it's so good. Thank you, amazing. Um, I'm gonna say something. I am feeling the weirdest day and the weirdest time in my whole life. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what is my voice in the world.
Yes. So
I
what's the
don't.
question?
My question: what is my voice in the world? How can I be my voice? What
Yeah.
is my Yeah? This is my main question.
Yeah. So
I
like
went Mm. I
oh,
went through massive changes in my life, so massive changes. And uh, today I am sitting, I don't know who I am anymore.
yeah. So how many of you have been trying to define who you are and not allowing yourself to actually be everything and like have each voice and use the voice which will create more?
Yeah.
So everything Gab brings up, will you destroy and create it?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, fucking plot, all nature's ways, poets and meas, which is sometimes like some people are like confused sometimes when they see the title like right voice for you because they think like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to this class. And just like in many workshops, you know, like there how many like I've been a singer for like about 15 years and then I was like a vocal coach for like many more years like after. And I got at a certain point, I was like, why are we all looking for the perfect voice? Why are we not like embracing the capacities our voices have? And why does no one on planet Earth ever has asked me as a singer, like, so what is it you can do with your voice that no one else can? And so that was where Access started to lead me to this path of like, wow, with all the singing I've been doing, with all the singers I've been working, with all the directors I had been working like all around the world, people basically like ask us all the time to be something that is supposed to be right, right? Like for how many of you, like even in your relationships or for your families, people are asking you to be something, but never asking you like, hey, like who would you like to be today? And so for many humanoids on the planet, which is like you can look at like there's like different kind of species, and so one of them is like humans, and humans are always right, and they will tell you like this is how it's supposed to be. If you're not doing it like that, then you're wrong. And then there is this other species like humanoids. They're always kind of like adventurers. They're in question. They're curious, but they're also capable of creating this incredible level of change on the planet. These are most of the times also these people that will create incredible art but never value it because they're always wrong. So they will create this like you know, like how many of you you've been creating incredible like either with music or you've been making a book or you like create graphics, but then most of the times you don't even show it to people because you're just like judging yourself so much. And that's how incredible pieces of work usually goes lost because we're more invested in judging than questioning what will this create. And so that's where like who would you like to be today? And if you would allow yourself to be different every day, what would you become aware of also if you look at the world? If you look outside of your window and you would allow yourself to actually be different every day.
Yeah, I ask that every day. And you know something, I was always judged for my voice, that it's so soft. And I used to write poems, romantic poems, and that everyone was asking, are you in love? I'm not in love. I'm in love with myself.
Yeah.
I'm writing all these poems about me, about how beautiful I am from inside. And now I can't write.
Yes!
And
Oh my god. Yeah. So, everywhere, like, so this is, and this, I love that you bring this up. Thank you so much. Because this is what most of these, like, Right Voice for You classes will be about. Like, people coming in that basically stopped themselves because people were judging what they were doing. No matter, like, if they were singing, using their voice, writing poems, like, how many people have been looking at the things you were producing just because the energy was there, just because you enjoyed it, just for you, just for fun. And then people either started to judge it into like, why are you doing this? Like, it's not normal. Or, okay, you're so great at it. You should make your job out of it. So now it becomes this whole thing where this joy, an expensive like way of just adding to your life by writing or drawing or singing or dancing now becomes this thing like, oh my god, like now what do I have to do something with it? Oh, now it has to be something professional. Oh, now I have to start putting it out. Oh, now I can't do it anymore because I don't have a reason for doing it. So, everywhere you've been buying into, for all of you guys, buying into other people's judgments about why or why not, how or how not, and you made their voices more important than your voice, would you all be willing to destroy it and create that?
yes,
Right and wrong, good and bad, book and plot, all natures, boys, bullets, and beyonds. And that's where a lot of like joy and creation gets lost
Yeah.
because we make other people's judgments, like even the amount of people I've seen like in these classes that had literally somebody on the street they had never met just like saying something about them and them making that more real and true than their joy, and then stopping everything after that one command of somebody they would never ever see after that and they had never seen before. So how many of you, you've been making the voices of total strangers more important than the energy of contribution on the planet you are?
Wow.
And so everywhere you lost your voice into all the loudness of other people's voices, which like basically we always think like, oh, our voice is only like when we talk. But how many of you, when somebody thinks something about you, so you come into a room and people are just like judging themselves or judging you or judging everything, you're aware of that, but you don't acknowledge that. And so like I've worked with people that lost their voice, like having a conference, and that voice literally coming back 2 minutes later after they destroyed and uncreate all the judgments they had been aware of but they had been pushing away because nobody said them out loud. So how many of you, you constantly hear what people think, you like hear what people feel, and rather than using that to your advantage, using it to create your videos, using it to create your speeches, using it to create your promotion, your art, you stop yourself with that. And so
Yeah.
what if that was actually the right voice? It's where you're allowing yourself to like know how aware you are and start to receive everything, judge nothing, and see how you can use whatever you're aware of to create something different and greater.
Oh,
And so
I love.
everything that's not allowed at. Yeah, it's right and wrong, good and bad, fucking plot, all natures, boys, poets, and beyonds. Can you sense like the space of vulnerability that is available if you would allow yourself to have that world?
Yeah, this is what I want the whole my life. I even want to sing, but they all told me that my voice is beautiful, but not a singing voice.
Yes, what does that? And like the funny part for me is always, and I'm not telling you that because I've never done that. Like, you know, if you're like a singer and then you become a professional, like the first thing I did when I started like like getting thought to be a singer is I lost my voice for like about 6 months with like all the medical procedures and things like that. Cause like there was just so much awareness. Isn't it crazy? Like with one comment, somebody telling you, yeah, your voice is kind of okay, but it's not really a singing voice, that we just like take it. And that's how we start building our life on that one comment that we never question, like, and who are you exactly? And what
Yeah.
did you exactly create in your life? Never. So, what could your voice sound like if you had no point of view about it?
It will sound like flowers hugging stars, dancing together, playing with the moon.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all natures, boys, poets, and beyonds. And what would all of your voices be capable of if you had no point of view about it and you were always curious?
Wow, the amount of freedom. Wow.
That would be freedom, yes. Are you like, how many of you rather judge yourself than actually being free? And this is where it will come up. This is like the right voice for you 3-day class. It's like really asking people to take off their pants and really like face whatever points of view. It's like not literally, don't worry. But to start to really be honest towards yourself and be like, okay, am I truly willing to be free? Because like a lot of times, like how many of you have been screaming like, I want to be free, I want to be free, but then when you are up against the choice between freedom and judgment, you go straight for judgment. You invest so much energy into judgment rather than into freedom.
Yeah, what's come to jump to my mind is that we are in Arab communities and you can dance. I love dancing so much. You can't sing. Yeah, there's so many coincidence about that.
Yeah. And then there is also like a lot going on right now in the Arabic communities, what I've seen, and I'm not like part of it, but I've had the honor to work with a lot of like amazing like females and males in the Arabic world over the last few years, where there is such a demand for being, for connecting to the universe, for connecting to the whole. And so how many of you have been like so aware, and it has felt like this need or loneliness, but what if it was actually a demand for something greater in the world?
Yes.
And so everything that does not allow for all of you for that to start to for you to start to recognize like, wow, do I just have a greater demand that I've never acknowledged? So I constantly twist that in these kind of weird things of like, oh, I'm lost, I can't be myself, I don't know how to voice myself, rather than like actually like seeing it as it is and be like, no, there is a demand of something that I know is possible. And if I'm not going to choose to start questioning that, it will not be able to exist because no one else is aware of that. What if no one else was aware of the breath of life each and
Wow.
every single one of us is aware of? That's possible. So everywhere
Wow.
you've learned to dim that breath of life from the moment you were like 2 or 3 years old, because it was too much. It was too much joy. It was too much sexualness. It was too much receiving. It was too much excitement. It was too great. What if there is actually a different possibility available? And it's not far, it's just a choice away. Right and wrong, good and bad, poke and pot, all natures, both pobats and beyond. So, how are you, my dear?
Uh, um, I'm deep emotions. I wanna cry.
Yeah. Well, is it also your body like letting go of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said about 2 and 3 years old, that was too much sexualness.
Yes.
Yeah, that
That.
part affected me.
Yeah. And how many of you, like, still today, like, you rather, like, not have people leave you than actually be everything you are? And that's the thing I've seen in these classes, like, change, like, on a dime. Because, like, the moment you see it and you're like, wow, you know what? It's actually not honorable to me to not be me. And so, where did I make other people greater than me? Or do I give them more power than me? And is that really longer going to work for me? Or is it time to start to honor myself completely?
Yeah, it's time to honor myself completely. I want to sing.
That. Are you coming to Dubai?
Well, when is the class? Which
We start on Friday.
yeah, what would it take? Yeah,
Yeah,
I would come.
that. Well, it's a fifth, and it's like it's fun. Like Rasul says, like I attended Right Voice for You online. So like in the past, you could do it online, and like Gary has been changing that because it was like no, no, no. Like for this class, it's really like what if we can be that demand for people to really choose to participate and fully be there with their body and just like choose the change. So she's writing, I hate to hear my voice, and now I'm singing. Yes, and I don't care if I will be judged or nor what else is possible. Yeah. So yeah, what will it take for you to be there?
Yeah, what would it take you? What contribution can you be to me? I love traveling and I would love to be in person with my body.
Yeah, where
But
are you from? Where are you?
I'm in Jordan.
Oh, it's really easy to come to Dubai.
Yeah, yeah. What would it take? What would it take to the money to show up?
God. Yes, 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 yes. What can you be, do, choose, create, and generate?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, beautiful.
Bye. Let's see. So we're gonna do this. How do I do that? Like this? Yes, I think it's like that. Okay, cool. So there is somebody else saying, when you facilitate a class, what if you don't have the words? Suddenly you don't know what to say. Lee, are you here? Dee, 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 dee. One of the questions I really love when I or someone else lose their words is to ask, like, what are you aware of? Because, like, how many of you, like, you're so, like, especially when you're doing sessions or when you're giving classes, like, how much are you, like, for the full 3 million% tuned in into all of your clients. Like even when you're like doing videos or like writing something, how much are you tuned in to your receivers, to your clients? And so if you don't find the words, like, do you not find the words, or is what you're gonna say not gonna be heard? And so if they, like, if you try to tell somebody something they can't hear, like, how many of you have lost your voice over that and never acknowledged it? Like even at the age of 6 or 7, you're like doing your first like presentation in school, and you're there, and then you lost. Anybody ever like lost all their words at that age, and then you think like, oh my god, I'm not a good like public speaker. But you've never asked yourself like, am I actually like not a good public speaker, or like what was actually going on in that moment? So I would definitely, if you're working with people or you're talking to people, I would definitely ask, when you lose your words or when you lose your voice, ask, like, what am I aware of right now? Oh, can these people hear what I'm about to say? Yes or no? And if you get a no, like, okay, what can they hear? What are they capable of hearing? And it's magical because that's the gift of consciousness and questioning. It's not about like receiving the answer when you ask a question. It's about like gaining the awareness. So when you ask, like, you'll start to open up to the energy that's present either in a person's world or in the room. And the funny part with energy is that when you then allow yourself to actually speak, you will start to address whatever is going on in people's worlds. So everywhere also you have been so trained into preparation, which kind of like shuts the door to awareness often, because you'll be so on the track of like, okay, I need to say this, and not, if I connect to my audience, what is it that we can open up today? Would you be willing to destroy and create that? Right and wrong, good and bad, poke and pot, all nine boys, po bets and meows. Like even for these kind of calls, like usually like we'll like look at a title. So what we did for this call, we looked at a title with the whole team, and then we came up with this title, and then I just let it go. And like even before we started, I had to go look 3 times like on the graphic, like, okay, what's the title of the call again? Oh, what's the title? But I'll ask, like, okay, what's available with all of us here together? So it's not just like a promotion call, but it's more like, okay, what can we already change in these 30 minutes? What is available? What are the people like, what are all of you like dealing with, that even if you don't have a question, if you ask that and you're giving a class or you're giving a call and you just ask, like, what is playing out in these people's lives? Don't use these tools, because you might actually start to address exactly what will be going on, and people will be like, oh, how did you know that? Right and wrong, good and bad, fucking plot, all nineties boys, poets, and beyonds. And what if that's actually the right voice? What if the right voice was not about you? What if it was about the change you're capable of creating? And that's the thing, as a humanoids, for most of us, like, creating change will be what excites you. Like, how many of you, like, when you feel like dying but somebody calls you about like, oh, can you help me change this, you're just like, oh, I think I'm alive again. Done. Whatever I was doing before for the last 6 weeks, it's over. I'm over it. Why am I suddenly over it? Oh, because it's about creating change. That's why I'm here on the planet. So you want to acknowledge, like, what are you here for on the planet, and have you been like aiming towards that, or have you been a little lazy in the sense of like trying to make yourself right, trying to show up right, trying to find the right job, and in that completely losing what you're actually here for on planet Earth? Yes. Ah, woo! Right or wrong, good and bad, fucking blood all 19 about this. It's so funny. Like people keep asking me. Like I've been doing this right voice for your classes, I think, for like 5 years. And like every time people ask me, like, what's this class about? I would like to sing. I'm a singer. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't even start to explain what this is about, this energy and this class, because it's so much more than just like the physical voice or you standing on a stage. What if it was really about becoming present in every part of your life and choosing your greatness, no matter what? And for most people that I have in these classes, they have been looking for this energy since the moment they were born. And they keep looking through it, like for it through the rightness. Like, oh, if I can only be more right, I'll attain like this breadth of life that I'm looking for. But what if it was not through rightness? What if it was really through you being you that you're gonna get that sense of the awareness that you're hitting for? So everywhere you've been trying to get your life right, and you thought, if I'm gonna get my life right, that's gonna give me everything that I'm actually breeding for. And like, how many of you, every time you get everything that you think was right, you're just like, this isn't gonna work, dying again. Just start. I love that. Just starting drawing again. As a child, I was drawing a lot. Yeah. How many of you, like, there was this singing and drawing energies as a child that was not about like the result. It was more about like movement and sensations and a joy of like receiving colors and possibilities. And then suddenly it becomes about, now you have to draw this, and it's like, oh, how do I do that? Or you can do it very well, and then people will judge you either positive or negative. But the joy of perception and like having your senses like fully exploring the possibility of drawing or using your voice is not included anymore. So what will it take for all of you to like re-include all these senses, like smell, taste, vision, touch, like the also the visceral expression, like, not only when you dance but also when you draw? Do you allow yourself to have that visceral experience in everything you do? And so everything that not allowed that, will you destroy and create that? Right and wrong, good and bad, poc and pot, all natures, boys, pobats, and beyonds. And Margaret is saying, what if I had no clue what I can create? Yeah. Well, what if you'd start asking, like, what would be fun to create? And start to acknowledge every time you do something that's like fun, just acknowledge, like, oh, this is fun. And then, like, most of us, like, how many of you like have, I'll ask you the question, how many of you have like decided when something is fun that that's totally never going to make you money, so you kind of discard it as a possibility for doing it? You'll draw, and then you'll be like, oh well, okay, what can I do with that? Nothing, because I'm not a painter, so it's like done. Rather than allowing that energy of something that's joyful to, like, oh, okay, well, I enjoy this, what will it take for me to just do this more? Not because I have to do anything with it, but just because I'm going to allow myself to have those energies as part of my life. And from there, see, like, okay, so what would I like to design? Like, what would I like my life even to be like? Like, how many of you have never been asked what you would like your life to be like? They just ask you, what are you gonna do next? If you're gonna quit your job, what are you gonna do then? And how are you gonna survive, by the way? Because do you know it's not easy after the crisis? That's what most people, this is some total of what most people will basically be interested in. You not failing, but what if you would be interested in thriving, not in avoiding failure? So everywhere you've been avoiding failure, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Everywhere you've learned to avoid failure, and you think if you're going to avoid failure, that's the same as actually thriving. What if you'd start to look at, wow, if I was truly thriving as a being, like, what would be available, and would it even matter if I failed or not? Or is that like two totally different paradigms that have been put together? Either you thrive or you fail. But what if these two had nothing to do with each other? So everything that brings up, will you destroy it or create it? Right or wrong, good and bad, fucking puddle, nature's baseball, what's amused. I left Angelique, like, oh my god. So let me check here. Can you talk about diminishment in front of people who are being more aggressive? Oh my goodness. Are you aggressive, Abir?
I can be
Yeah, but is it like wrong?
at times, especially when, yeah, because like in my mind, it's like, okay, am I am I being a bitch? Like, am I not giving the other person a chance, or are they gonna hate me?
But you're Indian, right?
Yeah.
Indian are like the most aggressive bitches I've ever met in my life. Like I
I
learned
control my aggression.
so everywhere you've been controlling your aggression will you destroy it or create that. Right or wrong, good and bad, model, nature's voice, possessive. If you don't allow yourself to be that energy, like I would strongly suggest do like go to India. Go and take an access class in India. And it's not to insult any of you, but I've like the first like SOP class I did, I think like one of the first classes, like I went to India to take that class and I have been like so impressed by how aggressive women are there to get what they want. And at first I was really offended. And then I just started seeing like, wow, it's just something I don't allow myself to be, but why not actually?
Yeah. Oh my
But
God.
yeah, why
Don't
do you
allow
allow
myself
yourself?
to be that aggressive. And
Yeah.
it's just mean, and it's, I think I've made it wrong somewhere in my world. Like, it's not cool to be that aggressive.
So everything that is, everywhere you've made yourself wrong for not aggressively going for what you desire in life, will you destroy it and create it? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine choice boys, poets and beyonds. And you're probably right. It's wrong to like go aggressively for what you want, right? You know, if you'd go aggressively for what you want in every choice you make, how many people would start making you wrong?
A lot.
But also, for how many people would you become that inspiration eventually?
Many more.
Right and wrong, good and
The
bad,
ones that make me wrong.
poets and beyonds. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I just realized that I make the ones that are like super loud and super aggressive. Like I cannot like it's not even like I shut down, but like I like okay, I do not want to interact, you know? Like,
Well, are you doing that for you or for them?
oh my God.
Yeah. What
If
will
I
it
wished I would destroy them.
good? Yeah, right, right. Like, what will
Yeah.
it take for all of you to start to see things in the perspectives they actually are? So if you're like, oh my god, I always diminish myself, like, who are you doing it for? 99% of the time, you might discover that you're actually doing it so you will not eat them alive. But then,
Yeah.
how many of these people actually, if you would eat them alive, it would be like a fucking contribution to the planet? How many of you are not willing to eat stupids alive, and so you're always at the effect of stupidity of other people? Rather than just being like, if you're gonna do that around me, like I will not warn you even. Like this is just a done deal. Bye. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all boys, bobets and beyonds. Now, this is not like a carte blanche for like going around and like being aggressive to people. It's more like if you have that power and potency and you have that ability, this might also be something you'll have to kind of start to develop like the button. You know, like how with a radio you can like have this button and if it's broken it's only loud and soft. That's not gonna be very like it's not gonna be very creative. And so some of the energies some of you might have to start to master through trial and error and then just acknowledge like, whoops, that was where I totally abused that energy. How does it get any better? And what will it take for me to learn more how to use this energy to create and not to destroy? Because like if you shut it down, like the one you're destroying is you, but if you use it like with like wrongness, you'll start to like kind of like only have these two choices. It's either them or you, rather than looking at, wow, how can I use this energy to instigate a different possibility, a different future possibility for me, for them, and for all.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, fucking pot, all natures, boys, poets, and beyonds.
That's a very different switch.
And also with the, like, you know, if you could have all of it with no wrongness, how much more awareness, vulnerability, kindness, caring could you also have access to? Because like energy is energy. If you cut off one part, so imagine you cut off the energy of being a bitch, like how much of the kindness and caring are you also cutting off? Because like you know you'll have to kind of like create this like compressor, you know, with you know with like music installations they usually have a compressor which takes up all the peaks and all the like lowers, just like psychic medication. So now everything becomes here. So also like the greatest energies that you decide are the greatest, like the good ones, like you limit them too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, book and plot, all nature is by meons. So what else is possible?
Whew.
Gosh, this is gonna be a 4 day, like a 3 day for like potent bitches.
And it's just what I get is that there, because like it's almost like I shut off the fight, but there is no need for the fight.
Well, what if you were willing to fight, but also start to questioning like, what am I fighting for?
Yeah.
Because a lot
Thank you.
of people actually fight for rightness,
That
and
too
so
many layers.
yeah, and so if you can start to be aware of like, what am I fighting for, or am I fighting for rightness? Okay, is that actually creating the world I want to live in? Is that the voice I want to be in the world? And if it's a no, like, how can you redirect that energy? What words can you use? What energies can you be? Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and plot, all natures, with poets and meons. So we have one more question here and then one online. So let me go first to the light and sound. So what about different sounds? Speaking, sound, light, language. I'm not really sure what you mean, Angelique.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Hi dear.
Hi. Yeah, well, they call it light language, but they're sounds. And well, how can I explain it? And it is a contribution. When I do bar swap with a friend of mine, and then suddenly the sounds come out of my mouth, and she went like, "Wow, there was energy coming out of my head," and so yeah, there are sounds.
Yeah. So what are you and your voice? Let me do this. I'm like forgetting it. What are what are you and your voice capable of like facilitating for bodies in the world?
Ooh, got a head spin.
Right and wrong, good and bad, poke and plot, all natures best poets and beyonds. That's something like I've seen also like a lot of like singers or performers like not acknowledging like how much they are actually a facilitator when they are on stage. Like what have you defined is facilitation, for example, like if you're a therapist, are you only facilitating people when you do what you've learned to do as a technique? Or do you have many more means, modalities that you and your body are capable of that you will only grow through acknowledgement and not significance? Acknowledgement, like, wow, I wonder what else my voice is capable of. What is that facilitating? What is that generating and creating in the world?
Yeah.
And that will also often allow like the body to change instantaneously. Like, wow, the minute you actually empower a person, empower a body, empower you, everything changes.
Well, it's weird speaking light language or sound language or whatever they call it.
Yeah, but that's like, how much is that the significance that other people put on it?
Yeah, it feels like wah.
Yeah. So, like, if there is like significance, I would say there is no more magic. You
Yeah.
close the door to magic, so you want to be aware also in a lot of spiritual scenes and stuff like that, they tend to go to significance and putting you like oh my god, it's like a gift and it's this and that, rather than like having
Well,
a question like, what's the gift of that, and then just be like, oh, let me discover what the gift of this is, because I have no idea.
yeah, that's that. Well, actually, that. And when the sounds come and I speak light language, it's fun for me because I don't know what's coming out of my mouth. I'm surprised every time. So and it creates a lot. So it's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
you're so welcome. Yeah, and it's like it's sometimes it's tricky because like whatever you like, whatever you'll Some people have this ability to change universes with their voice, or like, just by looking at something, and it's just something you can do. It's not
Yeah.
something you can explain. There is no reason or justification why. It's
Oh,
just something you can do, and then it's like, yeah, I can do that. What else can
yeah.
you do? Imagine we would go to parties and we would meet each other and be like, so what are your abilities? And you'd be like, oh, and then you do it, and people would be like, whoa, that's cool. But that was it.
Yeah.
And so what is it that all of you are capable of, even through the voices of silence, that most will miss, including you, because it isn't solid or provable. It's only perceivable, beable, receivable, and perceivable, and knowable without the house or the head. And that's where most people will miss the gifts. And where I've seen, and I'm very, very grateful for that with Gary Douglas and Dane here, and everyone that has been part of creating this for like many, many years before I arrived. Um, because it's so different. Consciousness is so different as it also includes everything. It includes everything, and it's really about you starting to be in question about everything and discover daily like what it is you can create today with your voice, with your body, with the people in your classes, on calls. I love it. Eva is like, thank you for reading my thoughts. I just had a question about silence. Yes. Thank you for putting it in, like, thank you for like having it there. Yeah, and so yeah, what else can you create with your voice, Angelique? Like, bodies will show that, like voices will show that, and that's been part of like my greatest adventures when I was coaching people at a certain time with these tools also, like start asking questions, and people would be so surprised, like even at colleagues walking into rooms thinking we had been admitting like new students and then just finding out it wasn't, because the voices were so different, because the beings changed. And what if that's like a gift we all have through changing our being, our bodies, and our voice will change, and that's not controllable. It's only choosable. Thank you, love. Hope to see you soon. Ebtihal, will you like to like do the last question before we're gonna?
Yeah, hi. The question that's pushing in my head, I don't know if it's mine. It's that there is a saying here, a religious saying that the woman voice is nakedness. It's aura, you know. So you shouldn't speak. It's pushing
Oh,
in my head. Yeah, yeah. So can you please help us with some, contribute to us with clearings? Who am I being?
yeah. Well, I would say like, well, interesting point of view. Like, there is that point of view. Like, what if that point of view was also allowed? And that's the beauty of consciousness. All points of views are allowed. Which one would you like to choose right now? Are you
Wow.
able of like using this point of view if that's going to create more, but are you also able to use your voice if that's going to create more? Are you
Oh,
willing to be aware if you sit in a room full of people that have this point of view, you're a woman, so you should not be speaking, and just then see like, oh, I wonder how I can use that to my advantage, because it might be like a room full of women who have been learned that, and you'll address exactly the energy of that, like, wow, like, you'll be able to make often the connection with people if you're willing to listen to whatever gets served to you right now. Like, you get this point of view served to you on a platter, and you're like, oh, wow, this is so interesting. I wonder what I could create with that. If it wasn't right, if it wasn't wrong, what can I create with this point of view? Who can I invite with this point of view?
I love the allowance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I was an allowance to my voice to create in the world, what would my voice be?
Yes. What would it sound like? What could it create? What could you do with it? Who could you actually address with that? And so there's many more there is many more to that. Like I would say, like if like yeah. So there is so many ways we could take this. Um, but I would definitely say, like, if you would allow yourself to receive all the points of views that get offered to you on a platter through your awareness, through your head, through like the wrongness, through like losing your words, and you would just be willing to be an allowance and be like, oh, I wonder what that is. I wonder why I'm actually losing my voice. Am I losing my voice, or am I aware of someone or something? And now, how do I create with this? Is it time to create with silence? Is it time to redirect what I was gonna say into something different? What will create most?
Yeah. How does it get any better than this?
How does it? Yes.
Yeah.
So, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alina. Thank you, Mina, for translating also. We will get the replays ready also between now and 24 hours and resend it by email. If you would like more information about the Right Voice for You class, there will be one in Dubai. I will do one in Taipei also in August, I think. Yes. So there will be 2 in August, both only live. So yeah, I definitely, like, if you want to change something in your life, I would definitely suggest go and look for a class. There's many more facilitators also, so I'm not the only Right Voice facilitator. There's many more Right Voice facilitators all over the world. Yeah, and if you want more information about the coming up class Friday, it's for the, like, it's for the just now I'll change my life choosers. Book a plane. Dubai is amazing also right now to be. It's like yummy hot. Yeah, and just like connect maybe with a beer or kashish, or Eva is also here, or Lena, Mina, if you would like more information, and then we can help you get there with ease. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Oh, I didn't.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, my love. Oh my goodness, cutie.